track, and the starter gun wasn't working. And so Coach McAdams, as the guy that runs the whole thing, we thought it was hilarious, comedy gold. He goes up and he gets in this position like he's a gun and yells crack. And everybody starts running, and it caught almost the entire place off guard. And it was so funny that me and my friends made this group chat, and our picture for our chat was a collage of memes that we made of people on the team. And one of those just had to be Coach McAdams yelling crack. It was great. And secondly, we mentioned the bag of shoes. I was one of those people that got the privilege of having to take from a suitcase pulled out from the back of the van of track spikes that still fit to this day, thankfully. I don't think I'd be able to find another pair anywhere else. So I'm greatly thankful for having the ability to run on the team with Coach McAdams. Sounds like a great guy. I wish I could have known him longer.
When you talk about crack and a suitcase in the back of the van, there's different associations, but it's nice when you can be that way for multiple generations.
I'm Michael's little brother. I guarantee all of y'all don't know me. I knew Coach McAdams for a very short time. I also have a story about shoes. I was running sprints and I was like, I don't have spikes. And so I heard Coach McAdams had spikes. So I was like, Coach McAdams, do you have any spikes? And he's like, yeah, I got a whole bucket full of them. So we go to his van and he's like, which ones do you want? And I'm like, I don't know what size I wear. So he just pulls out some spikes that were hot pink and he's like, these will fit you. And so I'm like, okay. I put them on, my feet are being crushed. I run the race and I come back lipping and I'm like, Coach, I don't think these fit me. And he's like, oh, that's okay, maybe next year. But, he has a relay named after him, and if I ever run, next time I run in Plains, I don't know if I'll be able to run the same, because he was always the one that had the guns, so, it's just, I didn't know him very much, but he was still a great guy, so.
My dad pulled the homeschoolers into track. Somebody else?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Baum, but most of you probably just know me as Cub. But I moved to Plains with my family 45 years ago and met Coach McAdams and the whole motley crew that was on Coach McMahon's first staff as a head coach. And got to spend a whole lot of time with them and just listen to the way they operated and talked to each other and worked together. And lots of lessons early on. I wasn't much of a trackster. In fact, it was on this very field that Coach McMahon told me one day, Cub, you couldn't run a 40 on a calendar. and he was right. So there wasn't a lot of athleticism. And it took me a while to grow, probably till I was about 25 when I quit growing. But Coach McAdams knew I wasn't going to be a track athlete. And he said, well, maybe you can throw the shot, maybe you can throw the disc. And that didn't work out. Knew I couldn't jump. First time I ran the hurdles, they bruised my thighs because I forgot to jump and ran through them. So lots of trials and tribulations. But that was really, just the time that I was a kid when I really got close to Coach McAdams was when I returned as a grown man. And I would see him at track meets and the picture down here in the black and gold. Yeah, we all know that picture. But then there's the roughneck blue and red, and there's the Titans, and you never knew what kind of conglomeration he was going to have on. And my kid wore black and red, and Coach McAdams coached my kid just like it was one of his. So it didn't matter. I'm sure y'all all remember the brown band, right? And it's like there was Ken Michael and there was Lacey and there was Coach McAdams and there was Estelle. Why did they need this big band? Well, Jaime, I hear you talking about getting hauled to FCA camp and stuff like that. It all makes sense. But that van was it was really before its time, and it all makes sense because in addition to coaching, in addition to teaching world history and geography, he had a love for art. We've all seen his art and seen what it is. But the McMahon boys, they treated that van like it was a piece of art. It had the big glass windows on the side, and they shoe polished it so many times. Some of it didn't go away, but it was a great memory. In a track meet, there was not a single time that he didn't come up to me be able to know him for 45 years and have him in your ear and have him in your thoughts when he's doing things. I will tell you this about the community of Plains, and you all know this. Y'all never forget your kids. There's nobody that raises kids like this community. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you've been, or what you've done. You're still a Plains Cowboy, and the community still loves you. And that's the way Coach McAdams was. And I think all of us need to remember that and share it with those around us. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jackson Bean, and man, I spent a lot of time with Coach McAdams. Man, he was so much more than a coach. You know, he was seriously one of the most Christ-like men I've ever known, and someone who has shaped my life and continues to shape all of our lives in ways that we're still discovering. You know, just to echo a lot of the same stories that everybody else said, man, every shoe, every training shoe, every race shoe that I ever wore, you know, he purchased. Man, he took us to summer meets all the time. We drove to Albuquerque, we drove to San Antonio, we went to Dallas, Lubbock, a lot of summer meets that were all, we were taken to by him, you know. And the Gatorades, man, the Gatorades were legendary for sure. And the food, you know, he fed us before every track meet, you know. Jonathan, Robert, Michael, I went to school with all of those guys, and he fed us. And, you know, that was not his job, and that was something that I never really, you know, understood at the time. But, you know, he wasn't employed by the school at the time of all of this when I was in school. He wasn't employed. Like, they didn't pay him to do that. That was, serving others was simply who he was. So what a special man. Just some of the favorite memories that I have. One thing that comes to mind is before before the state meet in cross country, our last cross country practice. We finished our practice and we asked Coach, we said, Coach, will you run a lap with us? And this was at the park. And this is probably, you know, a half mile or so. And he sure did. He lined up and we all ran that lap together. And he was easily in his 70s at that time, you know, and that's just a testament to who he was, man. He didn't teach from the sidelines. He walked and he ran alongside us and he led by example. You know, race tactics, we talked about some of that, and one of the things on the back of that sheet, you know, was talking about sprinting at 500, kicking at 500 meters. And I asked Coach one time, I said, Coach, why are we kicking at 500 meters? That's too long, like that's too far away to kick. And he told me, he said, if someone's gonna beat us, they're gonna have to out-sprint us for 500 meters, and I don't think they're tough enough to do that. And what a lesson that goes far beyond, you know, track and life, you know, is that being tough and being resilient. You know, the race of life is not won by the swift or the strong, but the one that endures and those who persevere. And that was Coach McAdams, man. He showed up every day, he served others, and he was a special man. So, you know, he ran his race, and he finished, and he is waiting for us at the finish line with an amazing Gatorade.
This is one baton that I really like to hand off because Jonathan even outdoes my dad on running with the kids. He'll run the 10K and then come back and finish the 10K with the other kids.
If you don't know me, my name's Jonathan Lara.
Coach Lara.
Coach Lara. Yeah. There's no way I'm gonna be able to make it through this, but whenever my dad told me that he passed away, I didn't cry or anything. I mean, I guess I knew this was coming soon, especially after his wife passed away. But there's just too much. It's too much to remember. Too many stories. Trying to remember everybody else. I mean, I have so many stories. I mean, it's all true. I've heard it probably 10 times. The last few years, you know, since I've been here coaching at Plains, especially after his wife died. I mean, I made it a point to appreciate every time that he came around. He would say the same stories too. But I didn't care. Just listen to the story because I knew it was coming soon. And I still can't remember a lot of them, but I don't know how he remembered everything. Gosh, it's really a blessing to hear everything. And it was a lot of it, it is about, his stories and about everybody, times from everybody. He remembered so much about everybody. He'd tell me stories about people that night I don't even know. Yeah, that's what just blows my mind. I would like to think that me and him had something special, but hearing everybody has something special with him. And he made everybody feel like that. And that blows my mind. That's such a hard thing to do with everybody in your life. To be able to do that. Gosh, that's a hard thing to do. I have to remind myself how should I coach, and it's not just about the winning. He knows I love to win. But he always reminded me, and every time that I think about him, I'd always try to tell him, like, what would Coach Mac say? He'd always remind me to talk about God, to make it more than just about winning, to remind the kids that God loves them. He would say that so much. He'd always tell me how much he appreciated me, but it's like, what are you talking about, man? I'm just glad. I'm so happy that he poured so much into me. And it started from second and third grade. Or I don't know how far it was, Dad, but probably there whenever I was born. I mean, he coached my dad, he coached everybody. Gosh, dang, it's so hard. But the biggest thing that I have to remember, try to remember what to say, is that just caring and serving others. No matter what, I see him all the time, everywhere, and he's always doing something for somebody else. It didn't matter what it was. He was just always doing something for somebody else. I'm like, Coach, you gotta just slow down for a little bit, please. Just rest. But nope. It's like, gotta do this, gotta do that. Gotta go watch the grandkids play, gotta go do everything. And he would have a lot of the stories about his grandkids. He loved y'all so much. A few funny things, I guess, though. The Gatorade bottles, God bless, he had the best Gatorade.